Okay, so today we are talking about Santa Claus. And listen, I know exactly what you are picturing. The cute, cozy, chubby man in red who loves cookies, slides down the chimneys, and is basically Christmas grandpa. Yeah, that guy is the PR version. Because if you roll this story back a few centuries, the origin of Santa involved a bishop storming an execution, dark medieval legends of chopped up children in a barrel, pagan gods flying through the sky with ghost armies, creepy winter visitors who beat kids with sticks, and a soda company that absolutely did not invent him, but definitely helped sell him. This is the fact-checked, slightly cursed history of Santa Claus. Before he was Santa, he was Saint Nicholas of Myra, a real bishop in the 3rd and 4th century in what's now Turkey. And he was not solved. One of the oldest stories about him goes like this. 3 innocent men are about to be executed because corrupt officials took bribes to condemn them. Nicholas shows up at the execution, walks straight into the scene, grabs the sword out of the executioner's hand, and calls everyone out until the truth comes out and men are saved. That's not... That's, I fear God, but I also fear this bishop. Then we get one of the most famous medieval stories about him, and it is dark. There's a famine. A butcher or an innkeeper, depending on the version, murders 3 boys, chops their bodies up and hides them in a barrel of salted meat. St. Nicholas walks in, somehow knows something is very wrong, prays, and the boys are restored to life. Historically provable? No. Part of his medieval legend and church art for centuries? Yes. And that's one of the big reasons he becomes the patron saint of children. So yeah, kids today, Santa brings me a Nintendo. Medieval kids, Santa wants unpickled unalive children. There's one story that starts dark but turns kind of sweet. A poor man is so desperate he's thinking about selling his daughters into slavery or prostitution. Nicholas hears about it and, in the middle of the night, secretly throws bags of gold into the house so the daughters can marry instead. In later versions, the gold lands in stockings or shoes by the fire. And that is where the whole gifts in stockings tradition comes from. Not from elves, not from the North Pole, from a bishop trying to stop human trafficking. When medieval artists painted Saint Nicholas, he's not smiling. He's this stern man with a big beard, a bishop's hat, sometimes a book of sins. He protects children. He punishes the corrupt. He throws gold through the windows and resurrects kids. In legend. So Santa 1.0 is already intense. But then we add pagan gods into the mix and it gets worse. While St. Nicholas is doing bishop things in the Mediterranean, up in Northern Europe people are telling winter stories about Odin. Odin is the one-eyed god of war, magic and wisdom, not exactly department store Santa. In later Germanic and Scandinavian traditions around Yule, there are stories of Odin riding across the night sky with his long beard, sometimes associated with protection, blessings, and occasional gifts. He doesn't ride a sleigh though. He rides Sleipnir, his 8-legged horse that can travel through the air. 8 legs. We are getting closer to flying reindeer territory. In some later folk traditions, children leave boots with straw or treats out for Sleipnir, and Odin rewards them by leaving little gifts. So the pattern leave something out, get a present back is already here, just with a terrifying war god instead of a guy in a red suit. Then there's a wild hunt. People in different Germanic regions told stories about a ghostly hunting party racing across the sky. Spirits, hounds, sometimes lost souls, led by Odin or a similarly powerful figure. If you are outside when they pass, you might get bad luck or get swept along with them. So winter in this world is not cozy. It's cold, dangerous, full of fear about food and the future. And you tell stories about powerful beings who can help you or wreck you. On one side, Saint Nicholas, the stern protector bishop. On the other, Odin, a god who can bless or terrify from the sky. Both visit in the dark part of the year. both judge behavior, both have legendary beard energy. And that combo is going to matter when we get to modern Santa's whole naughty or nice obsession. Now we jump to the 1500s, the Protestant Reformation. The church is in chaos, people are calling out corruption, and some reformers, including Martin Luther, are very done with people treating saints like mini-gods. In many German-speaking Protestant areas, they introduce a new gift bringer, Christkind or Christkindl, the Christ child. Despite the name, Christkind is usually not shown as an actual baby. In later tradition, it looks more like a glowing, angelic figure, often blonde in white and gold, sometimes played by a girl in Christmas plays. Gifts slowly move from December the 6th, which is St. Nicholas Day, to Christmas Eve. Officially, the focus is supposed to be on a Christ instead of St. Nicholas. In reality, people kind of give both. They're like, okay, we will take the angel and the presents, but we are not exactly throwing away Grandfather Nicholas either. Up in the Netherlands, pretty much refuse to let Nicholas go. They keep Sinterklaas, a bishop in red robes with a mitre riding a white horse arriving by ship from Spain, visiting around December 5th to 6th and leaving gifts in children's shoes or stockings. Officially, it becomes more of a cultural tradition than saint worship. But functionally, that is still St. Nicholas showing up with presents. Then we meet Belsnickel, Santa's feral cousin. In parts of Germany and later Pennsylvania Dutch communities, Belsnickel appears wearing ragged fur clothes, sometimes with a mask or a dirty face, holding a switch or bundle of sticks, but also carrying nuts and sweets in his pockets. He shows up before Christmas, quizzes kids, and if they behave and answer nicely, they get treats. If not, they get scared or smacked. This is not Hallmark Channel Christmas. This is, I'm the midwinter judge and I brought a whip. And then there's the most controversial figure, Zwarte Piet, or Black Peter, a helper of Sinterklaas. Traditionally, he is shown in colorful Renaissance clothes with a very dark painted face and curly hair, carrying a bag of sweets, and sometimes a rod or a sack for naughty children. In the 19th and 20th century, he's usually depicted in full blackface, which is exactly why the character has become so heavily criticized and has been changing a lot in recent years. But if you step back from the specifics and look at the pattern, all these characters share the same structure. Someone brings gifts, someone brings fear. St. Nicholas saves or scolds. Belsnickel rewards or whips. Sinterklaas smiles while his helper does the dirty work. So when modern Santa has a naughty or nice list, this isn't some cute modern add-on. It's the soft focus version of a very old winter thread. Now we hop across the ocean. In the United States, writers and artists basically throw all these traditions in a blender. Dutch Sinterklaas stories show up in New York. English Father Christmas, the jolly old man of feasting, gets pulled in. German Christkind and other customs float around with immigrants. In 1821, a little illustrated poem called Old Santa Claus with Much Delight is published. It already shows a winter gift-bringer named Santa Claus in a red coat traveling in a sleigh pulled by reindeer and arriving on Christmas Eve. 2 years later, in 1823, Clement Clarke Moore drops a visit from the St. Nicholas. You know it as 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. From that one poem, we get 8 reindeers with names, the sleigh on the roof, Santa coming down the chimney, stockings by the fire, and the jolly chubby Santa with the bowl of jelly belly, rosy cheeks, and cherry nose. This one poem basically prints the blueprint. Later in the 1800s, Thomas Nast, a political cartoonist, takes that blueprint and builds the Santa cinematic universe. In his illustrations, Santa lives at the North Pole, has a toy workshop, is surrounded by elves, eventually gets Mrs. Claus, reads letters from children, and keeps a naughty and nice list. Sometimes he's even drawn looking at the world through a telescope watching behavior. So by the late 19th century, Santa is pretty much done. A mashup on St. Nicholas's charity, Sinterklaas's bishop look and December timing, Father Christmas's jolliness and feasting, a bit of Odin sky travel, plus American storytelling and marketing. Then we hit the 20th century, and I have to say this because this myth refuses to die. Coca-Cola did not invent Santa. They did not sit in a meeting like, let's make him red to match our logo. Red fur-trimmed Santas show up in the 1800s. The 1821 Santa Claus has a red coat. Thomas Nast drew Santa at red long before Coke gets involved. What Coca-Cola does do, starting in the 1930s, is hire artist Helen Sandblom to paint Santa for their ads. And his version is everywhere. Big, warm grandpa energy, bright red suit, a white fur trim, shiny belt and boots. Those paintings run in magazines and stores for decades. So no, they didn't invent him, but they absolutely helped lock in that specific look in people's minds around the world. They didn't create Santa, they branded him. Now we get to my favorite creepy part. Santa doesn't just bring gifts, he watches. In 1800s stories, and especially in Nasty's art, Santa is shown reading letters from children, checking their names on naughty and nice lists, and sometimes literally spying with a telescope. He's not just dropping by, he's monitoring. And then in 1934, the song Santa Claus is Coming to Town drops a hard code this into everyone's brain. He's making a list and checking it twice. Gotta find out who's naughty and nice. He sees you when you are sleeping. He knows when you are awake. If you ignore the cute melody and just listen to the words, it is not festive. It's a seasonal surveillance. A magical old man sees everything you do. Your gifts are conditional. Parents absolutely weaponize that. Santa is watching. You won't keep presents if you keep doing that. But again, that is just the modern cozy version of the same old system. Odin's wild hunt overhead, blessings or doom, St. Nicholas in legend, saving some, rebuking others, Belsnickel with his whip, Sinterklaas and Zwarte Piet with treats and threats. Someone powerful is watching. Your behavior is being judged. A reward is not guaranteed. We took that old winter fear and wrap it in red velvet, sugar and branding. So when we say Santa Claus, we are not just talking about a dude in red suit who likes cookies. We are talking about a 4th century bishop who storms executions and secretly founds dowries, medieval legends of murdered children in barrels, a one-eyed god flying through the winter sky with spirits, creepy fur-clad men testing kids with sweets and switches, controversial helpers in blackface, Father Christmas, the party grandpa, a slowly fusing with a kid-friendly gift-bringer, American writers and artists stitching all of this into one character, and advertisers polishing him into the global icon you see on Mac's billboards and in every mall. Is this still magical? Honestly, yeah. But he's also a mirror. He reflects what people wanted from winter: protection, justice, comfort, control, and eventually shopping. So next time you see Santa's face on a mug or in a movie, just remember, behind the jolly smile is a stern bishop grabbing a sword, a one-eyed god leading a ghostly hunt, a fur-wrapped judge with a switch in his hands, and a very long list with a lot of names on it. Cute. And if you made it this far, tell me in the comments, did you grow up with Cozy Santa? Or did your family have a darker version? St. Nicholas Day, Belsnickel, Krampus, Black Peter? Santa is watching you. Don't forget to like the video if your childhood feels slightly attacked. Subscribe for more dark history and twisted tales, and share this with that one friend who still thinks Coca-Cola invented Santa, so we can gently ruin that for them together. And until next time, be kind, stay curious, and maybe don't think too hard about the fact that the man who knows when you are sleeping is still coming to your house at night.